Well, I think that the government, first of all, should not have essentially gutted the $12 billion surplus that we left them, so that we have the room to maneuver. I believe that at this time, the government should be taking the lead on the creation of the G20. This is what is a Canadian initiative. The recognition that you've got to bring the world together to deal with a global issue, such as this financial crisis, is one where Canada is ideally suited, and it's so much in our interest to do so. I don't think they should be turning their back on the G20. Mr. Harbour has said it's an idea that doesn't interest him, but now perhaps that George Bush has called a meeting of the G20, perhaps he will show an interest, and I think it's important.
Your party didn't do as well as it could have in the last election. What do you think the party should be doing right now to try to rebuild as it looks for a new leader?
Well, I think that hopefully they will take the agenda that we left them, which was, all of the provinces signing on to early learning and childcare, all the provinces turning on to the city's agenda, all the provinces turning on to the education aspects, the health aspects of Aboriginal Canadians. I would hope that they would build on that. I would hope that they will build on an aggressive foreign policy in terms of places like Africa, doing the right thing, and I believe they will. At the same time, there are organizational problems that have to be dealt with, and we're going to have to change the way in which we finance the party so that we're, in fact, don't find ourselves behind the eight ball. But I'm very confident about the future of the Liberal Party, and I think we're going to have a great leadership race.
Would you like to see some changes to the election financing rules? Because outside of the fact that, as you've pointed out, they came in rather abruptly, we saw in the last election that there was no control over the amount of money that the Conservatives seemed to be able to spend on advertising, and they didn't break a single law in doing it as they sort of carpet bombed the airwaves.
Well, in terms of the election in 2006, there are still some doubts as to the way in which the Conservatives went at all of this, but I think these are areas that the new leader, the new Liberal leader, is going to have his opinions or her opinions, and I think we'll have to hear from them.
What qualities should the new Liberal leader have?
Very strong convictions about the kind of country that we want to build. I think that we are a centrist party. I think that the new leader should be of a centrist view. Most Liberals basically say that they're somewhat to the right on fiscal policy and somewhat to the left on social policy, and it's certainly where I am, and I think that's where most Liberals are. I think that obviously the new leader has got to be able to demonstrate, convince Canadians about where the country has to go, and that they should follow that leader's belief.
One of your pet projects now that you're retired as Prime Minister is Aboriginal education. You're doing a lot to try to promote that. What can average Canadians do if they wanted to get out there and help in terms of providing more educational opportunities for young Aboriginal kids out there?
Well, there are a number of things. Mentoring is very, very important. Most people who succeed have been mentored by somebody. The ability to mentor young Aboriginal kids, I think, is of huge importance. But more than anything else, I think that Canadians have got to show that they're interested. The fact that the government is allowed to underfund Aboriginal education on a per capita basis compared to the education that non-Aboriginal receive is just wrong. I have a program going in a school on a reserve in Thunder Bay, and I see, and it's working very well, and we're going to expand to Western Canada. I see that in fact the students going to that school are receiving substantially less per capita in terms of the quality of the education than at high schools that are a mile away and that are not on the reserve. That's wrong. And I think that Canadians have got to basically say, we're not going to put up with this. We really believe every single Canadian is entitled to the same quality of education.
One person I talked to once said, if you've been Prime Minister, you always want to be Prime Minister again.
No, look, I've been there, done that. I really do want to. What I'm doing now in Africa with the Aboriginals and in this whole question of the financial crisis and the need to build financial institutions, global institutions, is what I want to do. You can do more as Prime Minister or as a minister than any single individual can do. But certainly in the time that I have left, I want to be doing. I don't want to be doing politics. I want to be doing what I'm doing now.
Besides the Aboriginal Initiative and Africa, how else are you spending your time now that you're in retirement?
Well, spending a lot of time in a plane, but with any other thing, of course, is I'm on the farm in the eastern townships, and I've got two grandsons, and they are terrific. And I cannot believe the one who can run and everything else, who's 2 years old. I cannot believe how quickly, when you turn your back, he can be doing something. And so he's really quite a handful at the farm and a lot of fun.
Almost as bad as trying to keep track of a caucus.
Almost.